Okay.
Welcome. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. The Redevelopment Agency of Tooele City and the City Council are meeting in a work meeting that's being held at Tooele City Hall in the council chambers located at 90 North Main Street in Tooele, Utah. We're also streaming this electronically on the Tooele City YouTube channel. We will start with the roll call. Councilman Gossett.
Present.
Councilman McCall.
Present.
I'm Councilman Brady, and I'm present. Councilman Hanson should be joining us in about 10 or 15 minutes, and then Councilwoman Goches is asked to be excused tonight. Our third item is the mayor's report.
Hello, Council. I just have a couple of items tonight. One, I would like to just remind you or let you know, if you didn't know already, that the Tooele Serves Day will be on May 16th, so be sure to put that on your calendars, 9 to noon, and we'll be working at the I always say it wrong, the Train Museum. Tooele Valley Historical Museum and Historical Park, otherwise known as the Train Museum. So hopefully you'll be able to join us that day. And then, as you know, each year, in the past, we've had a Mayor's Golf Tournament. We're going to continue that. The money that's raised from the Mayor's Golf Tournament is used to do scholarships and some grants for local youth programs, and that is coming up, so I didn't know if you'd be interested in that. We have 36 teams, so we're very appreciative of the support from our local businesses and that are willing to support our youth and the city in that endeavor. And then the last item is that the UDOT Trails Charter has on their priority list a feasibility study for a trail from the south end of Tooele to Stansbury Park. If you remember, the governor funded a lot of money for a trails network throughout the state of Utah, and this is the one that one of the ones that they're suggesting doing a feasibility study for. So this year, it will go before the Transportation Commission in May, and then they'll decide. Generally, they just accept the proposed suggestions from UDOT, but they'll decide, approve that, and then they'll get to work on a feasibility study. There was a little bit of concern about whether it should be on SR 36 or Drew Bay, but they're going with SR 36, so we'll see what comes up of that. Keep you posted. Okay. That's all I have to report.
All right, thank you. Item 4 is the council members' report. We'll start with Councilman McCall.
The only thing I have is ribbon cuttings. I think I attended 2. Yeah, at least 2 since the last meeting.
Hard to keep track of.
The last meeting, yeah. And that's it. I got a COG meeting tomorrow.
Okay. All right, thank you. Councilman Gossett.
I don't really have anything to report this time. So
Okay.
I hate to be that guy, but I don't.
All right, thank you. I've just attended the mayor's staff meeting, and once again, the staff does a lot of great work, and it's always fun to hear the challenges they're having and how they address those challenges as well. So that concludes my report. We have 2 discussion items. Our first discussion item is a discussion on fees for repeated false residential or business alarms. This is presented by Adrian Day, the Chief of Police.
Thank you, Council. Many cities in Utah charge fees for repeated false alarms. I looked up 2 of them, Sandy City and Saratoga Springs. $100 service fee is charged for law enforcement response after repeated false alarms. In Saratoga, you get 1 free one, and then they start the fee. In Sandy, it's the 4th false alarm is where they start their fee. In Tooele City schedule, there's no cost for response for 2 false fire alarms, but after that, we do have a charge of $100, and if it gets to 6 or above, it goes to $250. My department responded to 996 false alarms in 2025. 373 of these false alarms were at residences, and 623 were at businesses. 5 different homes had 4 or more. The worst offenders was 15 and 19, 2 different homes. There were 46 different businesses that had over 4 false alarms. 2 alone had 79 between the both of them. Excessive false alarms create the alarm fatigue. It really reduces the effectiveness and security of these safety systems. There's also a safety issue with first responders and how we become complacent naturally after the 79th time at the same business. I bring this discussion to you to see if you would support a law enforcement fee on the schedule for repeated false alarms in a future business meeting, and if so, if you're looking at same type of thing as fire, or I want to be business friendly. I'd rather just not respond to the alarms, but for somebody that went over a certain amount, but that would reduce safety systems too, you know? Yeah. Any thoughts?
So when an alarm goes off, are you being notified by like a third party, or is it the business owner calling you saying?
It's a third party.
Okay.
It's peak alarm. It's whoever the business or the home pays
Okay.
for that, and they call dispatch and in turn send a police officer there.
I got a question for you, because I think you probably responded to 2 at mine. Was it 2?
2.
That's what I thought.
2 and taken care
One
of.
time was my daughter leaned up against the panic button. That was kind of fun because none of us knew you were coming until you were there. The other time was I got notified and we were out of town, and it said the burglar alarm had gone off on the front door. And I said, yeah, you mind going and checking it out, send the police or whatever. So is this the false alarm thing? When does it reset? I mean, is it annually?
It's in whatever you want.
'Cause
they're in a 12-month period generally.
Yeah, I was going to say in a year, I think I totally understand why you'd want to. But from a business standpoint, if you get notified from your alarm company and it says the alarm has gone off,
Correct.
and you're not close enough to run down and check it, or you can't pull it up on your camera, then obviously you'd want the police to go. But I get both sides of it.
So if I would say if a business owner called and said, don't worry about this alarm, that takes away the response.
Yeah.
Panic alarm, such as you described, that happens at banks every now and then. We don't have too many of them. I don't consider that that's somebody pushing something. I don't consider that a repeated false alarm. That's
And it doesn't make a noise
That's
in the
human
store.
caused.
So
Right.
when she leaned up against it, we had no idea.
And
It was
the
a shocker to us, too.
second one you described, you may have had somebody at the front door trying it.
Yeah.
I don't know we consider that a false alarm either.
But I think if it's in a 1-year period, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, obviously, if you're getting multiple, like you said, 15, 19, or whatever it was?
Those
That's
were the
crazy.
2 homes. The 2 businesses, one was 32 and the other was 47.
Ow. Yeah, that's a lot.
I remember when I was on the road 15 years ago, that was Middle Canyon Elementary, had a door that was really loose in the wind, and every night you'd know it was coming.
Set it off.
They just didn't want to fix it.
You said that Sandy City was after your 4th. I think 3 or 4 times is plenty of leeway.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I probably lean more towards 4, but I would be fine with 3 as well. Like 3, you get a warning and letting them know that the next or after 4 is a fee. When other cities, when they give a fee after the 4th, are they giving a $100 fee every time after that occurrence?
The 2 I looked at, Sandy and Saratoga, they both stayed at 100. They didn't. I didn't see an increase at all.
But it's every occurrence after the 4th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Gets their attention to address the issue.
Fix their alarm, I guarantee it.
Yeah. I mean, it really comes down to resources, and we don't have enough resource to send someone to every alarm and still respond to other calls as well. So
It's incentive to fix the alarm, and if we have the capability to take away fees if they fix the alarm, that's our goal.
right.
We're here for the worst offenders is what we're trying to fix.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions, ideas?
I think I got the general idea, so we can always late, so, yeah, I think I'm okay.
Thank you. All right.
think the fours
Thanks,
is good.
Chief. Our next discussion item is a discussion of reorganization of enforcement provisions for violations of Tooele City Code Titles 4, 5, 7, and 8, presented by Matthew Johnson, the city attorney.
Thank you, Council. This is potentially a big project, and we're talking about starting Phase 1. It's kind of come to our attention, and we had a discussion with the mayor and various department heads about how our violations are structured. It actually dovetails kind of nicely into the last presentation. We have, in particular, we have Titles 5, 7, and 8 that all have violations that can be enforced civilly, meaning that they get a fine that's paid through the finance department, as well as most of them can be charged criminally as well. Right now, it's kind of far-flung on what those fines and consequences are. Some of the, for example, some of the civil fees start at $50, some start at $100, some go up to $250, some $500, and some $1,000. So we would like to look at making that more uniform. Just as I brought this more as a visual aid, I went through and just marked violations. This is not including Title 10 traffic violations or Title 11 criminal violations. This is just everything referencing some kind of violation I've marked with a sticky note, and it's sort of all over the place. What we have in mind for a starting point, at least, is to look at sections 4, 5, 7, and 8. We're not going to look at the fire. It's kind of its own thing for now. Animal as well. It's sort of, it's enforced in a specific way. But 4, 5, 7, and 8, we'd like to at least per title consider a uniform first violation, second violation, third. We talked about starting at 100 and going up to 500, and at 500 thereafter, like 100, 250, 500. For something like Chief Day mentioned, for each violation we would want to put into the more specific code when it actually is a violation. So like the third or fourth false alarm would be the first civil violation that would be a civil infraction. And then we'd go to the title that it's under to say, okay, everything for this title fits this structure. Every violation fits this structure. We'd like to keep, right now, everything generally says it also could be enforced as a Class C misdemeanor. We'd like to keep that for now. It might be worth it in the next stage or another stage looking at whether we want to put more specific elements other than a violation of this title as a Class C misdemeanor. But for now, that's kind of what is in there now, and we would just move it to the beginning of the title. The second part of this is that we'd like to, we've got some enforcement provisions like abatement, where the city's actually going in and fixing it. That only applies in certain situations. Right now, they're for nuisance abatement in Title 8, that covers it, and that covers offensive, excuse me, something that constitutes a threat to human health and safety. And then we also have abatement of obstructions in the public right-of-way, like the street or the sidewalk. We wouldn't really be changing that, but we'd like to clarify that, for example, a violation of Title 4, which is the building regulation, could be of such a nature that it's a public nuisance. Even though it's on private property, it's creating a substantial risk to human health and safety, and that the city could, under certain circumstances, could go in and abate it. That would be the same for, well, not so much for the business violations in Title 5, but it would be for a lot of the land use violations. It could be something that is such a nature that it constitutes a threat to human health and safety. One example would be with the newer parking ordinance, if they were parking and it was not on a paved portion of the property, it could affect the groundwater. And under that, the city could consider abating it. I think that we have a code enforcement officer who uses good discretion now, and that I think that the city wouldn't jump into going into lots of private property and changing things, but it would be a tool that the city would be able to use. We're looking at some other general reorganization that we'll have to work through. For example, it'd be nice to have all the parking violations in one section, but that's tough because some of the parking we have right now is definitely land use, and having all the land use issues in Title V is a kind of nice trigger to make sure we're following those land use notices. But we're still working through those. But yeah, we just would like to get the council's input on that, and if there's any direction, any questions, I'd be happy to.
Okay, are there any questions or comments?
Sorry, first of all, I just wonder, could you just tell us what 4, 5, 7, and 8 are? What them titles are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to do that right at the outset. Title IV are the building regulations, so that'll cover things like plumbing, electrical, things like that. Title V is the business regulations. That will be, the big one is doing business without a license. We've got a lot of issues right now where I know that community development is looking at. And that would be one that we'd go in and debate because there's really not a reason to.
Did you also, when you was talking, did you say land use was in 5 also?
No, Title VII is the uniform zoning, and so
Okay.
that'll be our land use.
Okay.
Our land use provisions. And then Title VIII is health and sanitation, and that's where nuisance falls. There are some other things that would fall under that. And that's where our tools for abatement come in for nuisance abatement.
So when you bring it to the council, are you planning to do like one section at a time, like 4, or are they just kind of intertwined that we need to do them all at once?
A thought that I had is because some of it will have to go before Planning Commission because it'll be land use to start with those, and then once we get that together to bring at least this first stage all together, because like I say, the first stage will be making it the consequences uniform for each title, and that way you can see what we're doing. It would be a big, as far as red light goes, it'd still be pretty big because we'd be crossing off things and adding them somewhere else. But after that, we may look a little bit more specifically at, okay, this section makes more sense over in this title. But for this first part, that's what I had in mind anyway, is to try to hit it all at once.
So you wanting all 4 of them to be equal as far as how many offenses before the fine starts? Or are they individually going to have different starting points?
Like between the titles?
Yeah.
That's a good question, and we talked about that. It's open to council's direction. Our thought is it's simpler if they're uniform. Right now, there's some that have different fines between individuals and businesses, and again, it would be simpler if it were just one
Straight
fine across the board.
I know in the past we've had like individual ones brought to us, and maybe they're not in these titles. Maybe that's, I'm thinking differently. But it seems like over the last couple of years we've had some of these brought to us, and so really it's just about getting everything on the same page. And
Right, and just to make it more uniform and less complicated. I mean, it's for the public, but also even just for city staff to say, okay, well, this one starts at 50, but this one starts at 100, and
I was going to say, one of my questions would be, like the chief brought up, maybe after the fourth offense, these are ones that they're getting a warning first and then a fine. Is that typically how they go?
Well, that's not uniform either. So some of them, yes, you get, the first step is a warning. Other ones start out with a fine. So that's something we could consider too, is to actually put right in the code that they get a warning first. I know that's typically our code enforcement officers' practice anyway, but we certainly could just put right in there, you get a warning, and after that.
Then the fines begin.
Right. And for things that are like the alarms, where you get at least 2 before it's a violation, we could put it right there so it's not at the beginning of code, right there in the more specific section, say, on the third one, that's
Gotcha.
where it becomes a civil infraction, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense to make it easier for the staff, and I'm on board for it. Sounds like a big project for you and your department, so I don't know that I have a lot of direction to give of how to do it, but
Same, I don't know. I mean, I think you guys come back with some ideas and see if we can poke holes in it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that may be a good question is what, does it make sense to come back at another work meeting before we say, okay, this portion let's take to planning commission?
I think if we had like specifics, it would be nice to see that in a work meeting and before it goes to planning commission. That way we can give input and then the planning commission can give input as well. So I would like to see it back with maybe some specific red lines and ideas.
Sure.
Yeah, everyone else agree with that?
I
I
agree.
think so, yeah.
Makes sense, okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Appreciate
you.
It's going to be a lot of work.
Okay, our next item is a closed meeting. We do have a closed meeting tonight to discuss litigation and/or property acquisition. So I'll entertain a motion to move to a closed meeting.
Make a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Gossett and a second from Councilman McCall. We'll take it to a vote. Councilman Gossett,
Aye.
Councilman Hanson,
Aye.
Councilman McCall.
Aye.
I'm Councilman Brady, and I vote aye. That passes 4-0. So we will recess here at 5:52 PM and reconvene in the large conference room for a closed session.